Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and today we are talking about why you, yes, you, might want to become an expert at Facebook ads. But wait, you say, doesn't everyone say you should hire that out? And the answer is maybe, but maybe not. If you do want to be doing Facebook ads yourself or have a person already on your team doing it, it behooves you to get the best training and the best understanding and the best support in becoming a pro at Facebook ads so you can have your hands directly in the app making those decisions. We have here with us today Eric Saar, a guy who has spent a lot of time in Facebook ads. And he's going to talk about his offering to help people who want to go become masters themselves or have people on their team become masters of Facebook ads do it themselves with support from him and his team. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
It is a beautiful day, and I love to talk to people who have done something 10,000 times. Now, tell me, Eric, how many hours, this question was not rehearsed in advance, folks, and how many hours have you spent inside Facebook ads?
Maybe, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000. Well, that doesn't sound like enough. Seems like more than that.
That would be like a full-time job for 2 years.
Yeah, it was that, but it was $100 million in ad spend is the big one.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, ad agencies also, in terms of accounts, we're talking like 1,200, whereas almost every ad agency I've ever seen, including the 500 I worked with when I was working as a Facebook marketing expert through a subcontractor, but for Facebook, these agencies, they only deal with 20 accounts maybe. I dealt with that every week.
So you've been involved in the spending of $100 million across 1,200 accounts on Facebook. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's true.
Great. Now that you've done all that, what is your conclusion around how much most people should know about Facebook ads? And we're talking about companies, listeners of this podcast, they're probably in the startup to $1 million in revenue, somewhere in there. So how much should those people understand about Facebook ads themselves instead of hiring it out to an agency?
So you can learn about it very easily. It's overthought a lot in this space, and agencies are fine. Like I've met a few who were really, really good. I've met a lot that were not good, and it's just structurally for your business. I think not the best idea to be outsourcing it. There's a lot of reasons why, and we can talk about those. But I just feel like if you can get the key nuances, it's not even necessarily hard, but the key nuances that you need to know to do it correctly, you can have you or your team spend a fifth of their job on it instead of having a whole person do it or outsourcing it and having the time bottleneck there, the frustration, the lack of sometimes transparency, but also the fact that you're waiting on them for stuff, but also they're not incentivized to improve your ads in one sense. They're on the hook. They want to keep you going for the long term now. So they have no incentive to make it easier. They're incentivized to make themselves sound smart. And so that's just some of the reasons why I think you can take my courses that we're going to talk about, come on board with us. And I want to help eliminate that cost and the overwhelm of Facebook ads forever for you.
You have made some bold claims there, Eric.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends are Facebook ad agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a specific actionable, either a specific thing that you tell people to do or a very specific result you've seen people get again and again from following the way you teach people how to do stuff. Give us something we can use to go and run our Facebook ads better and make more money from them.
So one of my biggest ones is using the correct objective and flipping the funnel a bit. So for instance, a lot of people are doing traffic ads. They're like, I want people to go to my site, go to my landing page, whatever. Well, those people are literally traffic people on Facebook. They're not people who do things on websites. They are link clickers who don't do other things. And so people are wasting a lot of money on link clickers as a primary audience and making sure, and then it's just not the right one. You need to be using the other kind, conversion stuff, to actually go get the right people and make the funnel make sense. So we have a whole section in our course on how to do the right funnel and things like that, plus other things as well. But
so let's pause there for a minute. So in order to understand for the ads I have running, I need to go into Facebook Ad Manager, and then where do I see what the objective is? And can I change that after I've started a campaign?
No, there's a whole, that's the next other one I was going to talk about is the editing of campaigns. But inside your campaign level, you can see your objective, and there's about 12 or so there. And traffic is sometimes what people do, and there is the right time to use traffic, but conversions is going to be the one you mostly want to try using, especially if you're an e-commerce brand, but also if you're doing other things as well. Lead generation is the one I use right now for my Facebook ads with the native Facebook lead forms. and using plus this to throw that stuff into my Keep account. And so there's lots of things there. We want to make sure that you use the right objective, though, in the right funnel for the right thing.
If someone has their ads going and they look in Facebook, they say, "Oh, I'm set the traffic right now." Should they kill that campaign and just start a new one? Should they copy it? What action should they take as a result?
So that's the other one, which is we need to duplicate our campaigns. You should not be editing active campaigns. It confuses the algorithm a bunch. And so people are editing their audiences, their copy, things like this while it's active, and are making, what happens is it confuses it, and it makes the ads not be sent as much, not be as competitive in the bidding place where you're bidding against all these other people for ads, for ad space. And so you're causing it to be confused. So what you want to do is duplicate the campaign maybe, and then change the campaign objective, start the new campaign, turn off the old one forever.
So when is it okay to edit a Facebook ad campaign?
Very rarely, very, very rarely. The only really general thing is if you're trying to add a certain percentage of budget, usually you can add 10, 20% of your budget if your audience is big enough. Every 5 days, people can get away with more, but usually I just want them to be safe with it, because if you mess with the algorithm, you might as well restart. And so it's better to be very conservative when you're talking about that adding budget, but really only adding budget a certain very small percentage of the overall budget, especially it's okay, especially if your audiences are large, to not affect the algorithm. But very rarely should you be editing it while it's active. And also, a big thing is, got to give it 2 weeks. I see these people changing after 3 days. I'm like, so I literally ran ads, $2,000 of ads or so, a couple weeks ago, got a bunch of leads, but the lead cost went from $30 to $20 over the course of 2 weeks. It started at 30 and came down the whole time. If I had cut it and tried to make a change, it would have never done that. It would never gotten my lead costs down lower. So you got to give it time.
So you just gave us 3 very specific actionable things. One was always or never use traffic, almost never use traffic as your conversion type. The second one was don't edit your campaign, just duplicate it, kill off the old one. And then the third thing you just said is always give 2 weeks before making changes. Did I hear those right?
Yeah, there are some nuances to that, and traffic is definitely a good objective for retargeting, because you've already identified who your audience is, and so it's cheaper. Traffic's cheaper than conversion, so you can get in front of your people again, but only as retargeting, where you've already identified your perfect user is either a website user or someone who's already been identified through conversion targeting.
Aha. So we start to get into why it is that you have all these different courses around this, because there's there's exceptions to the exception, which I've already stumbled into.
Yeah.
So let's take the average person who maybe they spend 500, 1,000, 2,000 on Facebook ads a month. Not a huge company. Let's say they're 200,000 or 500,000 revenue. And you're saying that it's superior to send their person who's doing Facebook ads through your course, or maybe even the CEO, depending on the size of the company, than just completely outsourcing it.
Correct.
What does that look like? And how can I know as a business owner if that's actually working or not?
Well, you're going to see the results very, very soon. You're going to see the results, but also you know that, like, I have the expertise to know that it's being done right. So it gives peace of mind. I give all the levers to look at, the pitfalls to avoid, and you have it all in front of you, because there's no incentive for me to not tell you everything. So I'm going to tell you everything at the outset. And after 3 months of if you take the big one, or if you take the course, even, you can be done in a couple of days, maybe even sooner than that. You'll know everything you need to know and just need to work on applying it. In terms of the big course, our big personalized consulting package, in 3 months you'll be done, and you'll be in our Q&A forever and never need to pay anybody to do it ever again. Where if you're doing it as a CEO, or your person's doing it, they're delegating to, you'll have the resource forever.
What does the cost look like? And I ask this because I'm curious what size of company ought to go explore one of these things. Like if I'm looking at, well, it's going to cost me $5,000 a month for this Facebook ad agency over here, plus the ad spend, or I'm going to go with Eric from Slingshot Media's tool over here, trying to figure out how do I make that decision. So what's your revenue level of company you're targeting that should talk to you about these various solutions for getting the Facebook ad skill inside their team?
Generally, you should be able to spend about $2,000 a month in ad spend. So anything above that would be fine. We can do lower than that. It's still going to get benefit, but if you're not spending $100 a day on it, it's probably not as helpful, right? You're going to gain something from it, but maybe the revenue isn't going to be worth it for you, or you're not going to be able to get the traction that you're going to want, or see as good of return on that kind of economies of scale there, in a sense. Now, in terms of revenue, I mean, you're going to get the revenue back, right? So instead of having to pay somebody out, our course, the big one is 6,000 over 3 months. So 2,500, 2,500, 1,000. By the end of it, you're done and you'll never need to pay someone ever again. So literally it's 2 months or less than 2 months of paying someone to manage it for you. You'll never have to worry about what they're doing or if they're doing it right or anything like that again. And you'll be done paying them and it'll renew itself or recoup itself within months.
So let's walk through an example here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say with my Redbird Accelerator, my membership, that I decided to start running ads to it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's 3 weeks from when someone first comes in contact with the accelerator, or they come in with a tripwire or a lead magnet, whatever, that they actually go make the sale. That's the average time to sale. Give me an example here of how, instead of just doing it myself, I take one of your courses. What am I going to see? Am I going to see more leads in the front end? Am I going to see more conversions? Am I going to see the people who do buy stay longer because they're better targeted? How am I going to know, or how am I going to experience the benefit of working with you instead of either reading free stuff online or hiring an agency?
It depends on if you want leads, sales, right? For you, it's leads. You should be getting, if we do it correctly, you're going to get the better quality leads, and should be more of them, based understanding the efficiency of the algorithm and how to and knowing how much to spend on it to get the results you're looking for, right? Sometimes people throw money at it. They're just like, I just have some money, so this is what I can afford, so I'm going to throw it and try, quote unquote, try Facebook ads. Well, I see people do that with not enough spend, and you're like, well, you expected blank, but there's no way you're going to clear that with your spend. So but you also now have basically in your mind wasted Facebook ads, or in your mind tried Facebook ads and failed, and now we're at a loss. Well, we know how to stop that from happening, and so we want to make sure that you have it there. So it's better leads and more quality leads based on understanding the right objective and how to stop the inefficiency in your Facebook app.
That is all fascinating. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about various clients where I think, if we did better advertising, it's always interesting, because I've certainly tried with various products, Facebook ads, like, oh, that didn't work so well, or that didn't give me the result,
Mm-hmm.
or tried with other kinds of ads. I was just playing with Twitter ads the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and went ahead and said, I'm going to try boosting this post and see what happens. Just playing, right?
Boost the post. Oh man.
Which is quite different. Well, it was fascinating. I had one that was going not viral, just a big retweet from a whale. And I thought, I want to go experiment and go explore what
Mm-hmm.
happens if I also boost this post that's gotten a lot of attention, hundreds of thousands
Mm-hmm.
of impressions organically. And it's like, oh, the paid thing got, like 3,000 impressions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. That was a
Interesting.
fun $50 experiment to understand how this tool may or may not factor into my overall Twitter social media plan.
Mm-hmm.
So really interesting. Eric, where do people go if they are already spending or near spending 2,000 a month or more on ads already, and they think this idea of leveling up their team and not committing all these big mistakes you're talking about, if that sounds interesting, they want to explore a conversation with you, where do they go to have that conversation with you?
So we can do a slingshotmediaconsulting.com. We got some stuff on there. We're going to have some forms there to fill out to get our PDF that kind of gives you some solutions to some that we talked about here, some of them to work on it, and then get in our newsletter here to keep getting in the environment to understand that. Of course, you can feel free to take either the mini course or the full course. Get on with our group consulting sessions where you can pay a certain amount per month, $200 a month, and then every week you're going to be able to have a talk with our live person who is also with me working at doing the $100 million spend. And we're going to talk through some specific items every week. So, for instance, one day is the learning phase, one day is the iOS 14.15 update. Sometimes we're talking about audiences, whatever, right? So that's another option if you're not really able to dive in fully and you just want to make sure that you're keeping up on things but not ready to fully commit, or the money to fully commit. If you are ready to fully commit, we definitely want to suggest the big personalized consulting course. That way it's more of a guarantee that you're not going to have to worry about paying someone for Facebook ad advice or guidance ever again.
Great. So it's slingshotmedia.com to go start that conversation.
Slingshotmediaconsulting.com.
Slingshotmediaconsulting.com.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Eric, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Brian.